welcome to F1 Now. In this video, we're going to be giving you our race review to the Australian Grand Prix. What a race! Filled with amazing overtakes, unexpected twists and turns. And how can we forget it was a race with so many red flags? Touching back on the previous video, I had stated that this would be a race whereby Perez puts it on pole. And boy was that wrong. On race day, Verstappen was the one charged with leading the pack, which isn't much of a surprise considering the pace that Red Bull car has. However, the gaps in quali when compared to Verstappen were not as dominating as we expected. In fact, surprisingly enough, George and Hamilton in the Mercedes cars weren't that far off. Now, George did say after his DNF that seeing the time so close in quali was an indication of Red Bull sandbagging in order to not trigger regulation changes down the line, and not the rest of the pack catching up. The race had a dramatic start, with both Mercedes cars already past Verstappen by turn 4. From then on, it seemed George, who was in front, had enough pace to peel off and control the race to decrease the Red Bull threat. There was also a little bit gamesmanship going on, with Lewis sticking behind George to use the DRS to keep the Red Bull behind. It all came crashing down for the race leader George when Albon's Williams crashed out. At first, the safety car was called out, which made it a no-brainer for Russell to pit, moving down to 7th on the grid. But a bit of mayhem began when the race was red flag, which made Russell's gamble useless, having lost places and with everyone having a free pistol. On the second race start, Hamilton was able to keep Max behind, but it was inevitable that the Red Bull would soon make an overtake on the Mercedes. With DRS enabled, Verstappen made it look easy past the Mercedes and built a gap over 10 seconds as the race went on. On the other side, a few laps after the second restart, Russell's race ended with a PU issue. Now this was quite a surprise because we haven't seen a Mercedes reliability DNF in a few years, due to the fact those cars are built solid. Further, at the back of the pack, we witnessed some great racing, with Perez aggressively moving up the pack after having started on the pit lane. Drama again was added to the race after a second red flag was triggered by Magnussen's Haas, which touched the barrier on turn 2, which split its right rear tire into pieces. Now news has come out that the metal rim piece of the wheel was struck out with so much momentum that it unfortunately hit a spectator, causing minor damage. On the third restart, it was just chaos. On the first turn, with Carlos, the only Ferrari left in the race, tapped Alonso enough to spin him over. Now this meant the rest of the following pack had to make evasive maneuvers such as Gasly, who chose to go on the grass and join in on turn 2 on the racing line, without realizing his teammate was already coming by faster. Both Alpine cars took each other out, causing the third and final red flag. During the red flag, Carlos was hit with a 5-second penalty, causing him to lose a lot of places. Now on the third restart, caution was the name of the game, as the cars finished the race effectively under safety car rules. The biggest winners of the race will have to be Mercedes. They look to have made a significant step compared to Aston Martin and Ferrari. But the main thing about the Mercedes cars is that they were better in this race at switching on their tires. So with that, even though Aston Martin looked to have more pace, the gaps created by trying to switch on the tires by Alonso's Aston Martin was enough to keep Mercedes in front. Other noteworthy winners were Norris, who showed that the McLaren had enough pace to match the Ferrari and Aston Martin, only if the car is in clear air. Finally, Alpine, although both drivers took each other out, the cars were quite racy and hard to overtake with the speed they have on the straights. The biggest losers for me would have to be Aston Martin and Ferrari. The two cars were very fast, but unable to utilize the performance they had in the crucial moments. On Ferrari's side, it was yet again another race to forget, for Leclerc having his race ended so early. With this race done, the month-long wait begins for the race in Baku. Hopefully then a lot of the teams will have made some major steps forward. And with that, thank you for watching this video, and bye for now.